Hey, it's Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and I got a review for you that I've been waiting to do for several months now. Ducktales, the HD Remaster, which was released Tuesday in the US PlayStation Store. They did a complete makeover of the original game, which released when I was just 8 years old for the regular Nintendo in North America way back in 1989. It's been many years since I played the original game, so I had to do a little brushing up on it this week so that I could discuss some of the differences between the two versions. I'm going to be showing both the original NES game and this new PS3 version in this video. Now, the most obvious, biggest change between the two is going to be the graphics. In fact, my wife, who's a huge fan of the original game, couldn't even recognize what stage I was playing on when she walked into the room. Graphics-wise, the game features hand-drawn two-dimensional characters placed in 3D environments. And according to the wiki, they contracted both a Disney background painter and Mike Perazza, hopefully I said his name correctly, who worked on the original show, to help design the overall look of this game. The new art style, the lighting, and also the way they used colors, it all reminded me a little bit of how Paper Mario looks, but there's a lot of other changes to the core game besides just the graphics that were implemented for this new PlayStation 3 edition. There's a new tutorial stage that will get you caught up to speed if you didn't play the original. They also added a pretty robust way to spend all of your money that you can use to unlock pictures and music, which also includes the full-length version of the television show's theme song and a few other goodies that will keep you coming back and playing more. The trophy list reveals that this game has an extreme difficulty waiting for you to unlock, so good luck with that if you're going to attempt it. Which I've been playing this game on normal, and I've had some rough patches of dying here and there, especially when fighting the bosses for the first time when I was trying to learn their new patterns. And that's what the difficulty is really going to come down to, memorization, just learning the enemy attack patterns. You're sent into every stage with 3 lives, and you have to complete the entire level with those 3 lives. There's no checkpoints, but you can occasionally pick up an extra life if you know where to find them. For rookies new to this series, it could be a little frustrating to spend 10 or 15 minutes playing through the stage, collecting all the pieces that you need to complete it, and then dying on the final boss, resulting in having to do it all over again. You lose all of your progress on that stage. Now, once you've played through the stage once or twice, you're going to start breezing through it after that if you have any experience playing other similar action platformers such as the Mega Man series. Speaking of that series, the most immediate game that came to my mind when playing this title was the older Mega Man games because of how the controls feel. The controls are very stiff, and the way Scrooge lifts off the ground and lands when jumping around, to me it felt exactly like Mega Man. The funny thing about that is when I went to go look up the wiki for this game, one of the first paragraphs stated that the original DuckTales game was produced by the same people that worked on the Mega Man series. So there you go, boys and girls. If you didn't play the original DuckTales game but you love Mega Man, this is going to be a really good go-to game. Even if Scrooge doesn't have a Mega Buster on his arm, he does have a pretty cool cane that lets him bounce all over the place, which it's not as deadly as Mega Man, but is possibly more amusing. Another similarity between the two is that they both feature a stage select screen that allows you to choose which order you want to play through the stages in. Another major improvement over the original is that they've added cutscenes that tell a story that's easy to follow, unlike the NES version, which just dumps you onto the level and has you go hunting for treasures. If you've been following my channel for a little while, you might know by now that I'm a little bit picky when it comes to stories and cutscenes in games. They have added cutscenes before going into the missions, during the missions at random points, before the boss fights, after the missions, and all of it was voice acted by most of the original cast from the original television show. The script for every cutscene set the stages up really well, and the voice acting added to it created that television episode-like experience. This time around it feels like you're on an adventure with Scrooge and not just playing your way through a cut-and-dry platformer. For those that remember playing the original, I'm sure you also remember the hidden items scattered throughout each level. All of that's going to be found on here. The gameplay remains identical to the original with a couple minor tweaks. One thing I noticed were some of the enemies were slightly larger, so it was easy to pogo on them, and you can now toggle an auto pogo ability on and off, which I didn't really test that one out myself. Another addition is the Castlevania-like map screen that shows you where you're at on the stage. It shows you where the key items are. Very handy for those that don't remember where to go. And the final big change that they made to this game is they added a new stage that leads up to the final boss. Now, the only real complaint that I have with this new version is that during the talking cutscenes, which there's plenty of those in the game, the characters' mouths never move. It's not a big deal, but it does take a little bit away from trying to enjoy and watch the cutscenes. Now, the original game was highly regarded as one of the best Nintendo games of all time, and this remake is honestly about as good as you can possibly get to recreating that same experience with new features without destroying what made the original game so fun to play. If they had simply slapped an HD gloss over on here and charged $15 for it, I wouldn't have walked away as excited that I had just played a game from my childhood for that price, but you can tell from looking at any of the remade stages, the remade enemies and bosses, that they really put some time and care into making this feel like a next generation remake of a classic. However, I could also see some people completely new to this game a little disappointed with the fact that it only has 5 original stages to play through, with the addition of the tutorial and a pre-final boss stage. So it is a pretty short game to travel through once you learn the enemy patterns. But I do feel like with all the new additions and all the changes they've made to this game, even if you weren't a fan of the original, or even if you've never watched an episode of the show in your life, you're still going to have fun with this game if you enjoy platformers. They created enough incentives to replay through this game a few times, so I definitely feel like the $15 price tag's a bargain on this one, and I'm really excited with how this remake turned out. It's honestly one of the best remakes that I've seen in a long time, and it's worth picking up if you enjoy platformers. Now, if you want to read a funny, completely opposite take on this game, go check out what GameSpot wrote for this one. There's also some pretty funny user responses posted below that review. Now, if you want to read an actual intelligent review for this one, go check out anybody else. Both Game Informer and Games Radar wrote pretty good reviews for this remake. This is Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and thanks for stopping by.